I got my DNA test back. The results are, you are not the father. Just playing. This is my rent increase notice. Hey Visionaries, it's A back on your screen with another one. Hope you're all well. As you can tell from the title and my cringy intro. If you're not on the know, a couple months ago, you can click here if you want to start there first. I got a DNA test from a geneticist that works with my ophthalmologist. They recommended that I retest myself regarding my eye disease, Stargardt disease, aka fundus flavomaculatus. Probably not even pronouncing it properly. I was diagnosed in 2010 and a lot of things have changed. Just to put it in perspective, when I was diagnosed, I didn't even have an Instagram account. Did Instagram even exist? That just goes to show you how much has changed. When I was diagnosed, they had done a blood test, put it in a centrifuge, which means they separated the platelets and the DNA in my blood by spinning it super fast. And it turns out I won the lucky draw of having Stargardt disease, or so I thought. I think about a month and a half ago. I know I'm late, but I needed time to let it steep, and a lot was happening. Even if you watch the video where I shared the process of doing the DNA test, I never really shared the apprehension that I had. It was such a strange experience being tested again and then hoping maybe I don't have Stargardt disease and whatever I do have, they're secure. That was like my first default. The absolute worst that can happen is they confirm for the second time, nearly 2 decades later, that I have Stargardt disease and I just gotta grin and bear it. You know, I'm doing my best over here anyways. Just hope and pray and hope and wish. I'm on the phone, my mind is not in the right place, transparently, because it was on my family member instead, and I'm just taking in the information that she's sharing with me. Turns out I still have the misspelling of the ABCA4 gene, which aligned with Stargardt disease, but I don't have two. I have this little thing called cone rod dystrophy, not to be mistaken by rod cone dystrophy. And when I read up on this, I was like, this is giving, what is it? Red, blue, blue, red crayon energy. The difference between fuchsia and magenta, where it's like, wait, hold up. Rod cone dystrophy is more aligned to retinitis pigmentosa, which, side note, more of the people that I've met in the flesh have RP than Stargardt disease. I don't know if this experience is a result of me living in the six. Most of the people that I've met with Stargardt disease have been virtually over the interwebs. So to hear that I have cone rod dystrophy puzzled me. Are the same thing? Isn't it under the same umbrella? Ella. Cone rod dystrophy affects the cones and then the rods, which is why it's not the same as rod cone dystrophy, which affects the rods, then the cones. The cones are in the center part of the eye, and they're the part that affects your ability to see detail, distinguish color, depth perception, light sensitivity. People who have cone rod dystrophy usually have night blindness. I don't have that. I'm not trying to call that on me, so pray for me. Whereas people with Stargardt disease, it only really affects the macula, which is the center part of the eye where there's a concentration of cones. Now, thank God for complexity, because I wanted to get some more information and I wasn't in the right headspace in real time to ask the geneticist. When I was reading it, it said diminish the cells, but for some reason my mind saw it as destroys the cells. I guess I'm more dramatic. It really does destroy the cells. Cone rod dystrophy can be a myriad of different misspellings, including the ABCA4 gene, which I still have on one, but not two, which is why it's not Stargardt's, because you need both. But it can also be the CRX or the GUY20. These all sound like car models. I don't know. That was a little bit confusing to realize that, as well as there are some similar experiences where you may have light sensitivity, color distinguishing problems, and of course the details. I think that is the biggest thing. One of the things my family has asked me is if I'm upset with this misdiagnosis or how I feel about it. And I don't really know how to feel about it, even though it's been about, what, a month and a half? I think I'm still settling into it, which is why I gave myself some time to let it steep before I shared it with you. I'm not mad at all, because one of the things about science is that it allows for a margin of error, and that margin of error allows for growth and development. With the science back then, which was a blood test that they put into a centrifuge, which spins it really fast to separate the platelets from the DNA, and then that's how they were able to say you have the misspelling in the first place. They weren't able to really determine that the misspelling was only on one but not two of the genes. So I do believe in self-fulfilling prophecies, and what you speak gives breath into life. Had I not put Stargardt disease over my life, how different would things be? I don't want to see myself as this person who's just terminally visually impaired. I do believe in God, I will leave it there, But it needs to be said that I think what we believe about ourselves becomes a part of ourselves. Back to the comparison, there are a few discrepancies when it comes to the difference between Stargardt disease and the yellow flecks that I still have at the back of my eye. Those are, what do you call them? Lipofuscin deposits. So they're basically like fatty deposits that cause the deterioration. It's like keeping garbage somewhere for a long time and then it just builds up and creates more and more garbage, and that garbage suffocates the cells. Whereas with cone rod dystrophy, it looks more like a steel pan that's been beaten. Both of the diseases, you'll have some difficulty distinguishing colors, but it's only been over the last year that I've expressed and experienced that. Here's a super simple, silly example. I like to get my nails done once a month, and I've noticed that it's become harder and harder to choose the right color from the palettes that they have. So what I do instead is I either wear the color that I want my nails to be, or I'll bring a polish, because I have way too many. For someone who can't see her fingers, I have all this polish I can never use, and then she'll match it for me. That's something I never had to do before, and there's all these little things that I've learned to adjust and adapt. So if you want more on that, tons on TikTok, even more over on Patreon. Light sensitivity, yes, they say that's more the case for cone rod dystrophy, but somewhat Stargardts may experience it too. I have had that since day one of being diagnosed, where whether on a snowy day, cold 8 months of the year over here, the snow will reflect the light, and that glare literally makes my eyes water. Nothing worse than your eyes watering in minus 20-degree weather when it feels like your eyes are gonna freeze. Get me out of this country. A hot, beautiful summer day, I have to wear very dark glasses. Even if I'm trying to sunbathe poolside and I close my eyes, it still stings through the lenses. It's crazy. As many things that are different from cone rod dystrophy to Stargardt disease, there are so many that are similar, like the difficulty in distinguishing faces as well, depth perception, seeing things at a distance, and being able to see fine print or things that are detailed. I've had problems with all of these over the last decade. I've been, legally blind for 9 years now. And those are things that I struggle with every single day, and more increasingly as my vision worsens. The thing about both of these diseases is not only is there no cure, for now, they've halted doing research on Stargardt disease since the pandemic. A lot of funding, I don't know if it's due to research dollars or what, but I've been waiting with bated breath to see what happens with that. Being life legally blind is it's a layer on top of everything. On a separate side note, I think after this video, I'm gonna do a quick shorts, reels, TikTok of some of the things that people have told me to do when it comes to my eye disease that don't help me. If you like using dogs and canes, if you like it, I love it. Please do whatever makes you feel safe and secure and confident to conquer your day. But for me, because my peripherals are still intact, those don't help me with my daily problems. And it's so, let me save it for the video. One of the things I've had a hard time with over the last, I'd say 10 years is a lot of people think I should just learn Braille or I should just get a dog. And it's like, no, we should also be hoping that technology and science and research will advance with us. We're in 2025. The thing about losing vision is it's different for everyone. I've always said whenever I work with companies, organizations, I'm doing reviews or collaborating or having a public speaking engagement, is that my expression of Stargardt disease is not the same as the next person with Stargardt disease. And I mean, dang, I don't even have Stargardt disease. What I see is not going to be the same as somebody who has the exact same diagnosis as me. They're all different expressions, and in that way, we have to own our narrative and our story. Never let anyone diminish what you're going through, what you're experiencing, what you're seeing, quite literally, because that is your strength. The only thing that slightly worries me about cone rod dystrophy versus Stargardt disease, I don't want to give it too much mental energy, I don't want to call it into fruition, is the rod part. I've always relied on my peripherals. I've always been so grateful that I have so much vision remaining and I can be mobile and be so independent. According to research and studies, which, is not exclusive and inclusive for everybody, perhaps rods will start to deteriorate, which will affect my ability to use my peripheral, but probably not in my case because they've remained quite strong. It's very phenomenal. Every time he checks my eyes, he's like, wow, like you're doing really, really good. It doesn't feel like it day to day when I'm trying to make sure that my makeup is blended on my face or I've cooked something thoroughly. There's some people who were diagnosed a year ago that have half the visual acuity that I have. There's people who were diagnosed decades ago who can still drive and do some of the things I can no longer do. So you never know when it comes to these things. It's just a reminder for each and every one of us to appreciate what we have while we have it and do the best and the most. Do the most. I know it's a phrase that we don't like to say on social media because usually it's synonymous with, being out there and being extra. But when you're losing vision, you want to gain as much as you can with what you have. So on that note, I'm gonna wrap up this episode. I hope something I said helps you along your way. If you want more, join the Authentic Journey over on Patreon. Secret, I actually let them know a couple weeks ago, so they're always in the know, sometimes even before my family and my friends. That's how gang the Patreon fam is. So if you want to join, we do pods every single week, video essays monthly, and I also have Q&As, quotes, everything over there. So if you ever feel like something's missing in the vlogs or something's not really explained or fleshed out, probably have rambled on and over-explained over there. So as always, thank you so much for spending time with me. If you have any questions, leave them below. Also, let me know if you want more of these kind of videos, because I can do a whole Life Legally Blind journey or wellness journey video series. Just let me know. And until next episode, stay blessed, stay authentic.